Okay, so welcome to the second day of Selenium C Sharp training. In the very first day, we just discussed the basics of C Sharp and how can we the brief history of Selenium and how can we configure Selenium DLLs into our project. We just discussed the basic stuff on the very first day, and today we'll be covering some of the OOPS concepts. Okay, and how can we create the object, how can you create a class, what is the concept of static and non-static, and some other oops concepts. Now, why am I focusing on the oops concepts again and again? It is because, as I discussed in the last class as well, that is, if you go to the official website of Selenium, seleniumhq.org website, out here I go to the download section, and over here, if you check the API docs of C Sharp, then then you will see that in order to understand this documentation, you see that all these topics, what is a class, what is an interface, right, what are these exceptions. Okay, so if you want to understand this documentation, then you must know these concepts, the classes, the interfaces, right? How do you declare a function? How do you create the object? So these all topics come under OOPS concepts. If you know these concepts, if you know what is an interface, then you can very easily understand this documentation. And this documentation is Selenium. If I am able to understand this documentation, then I am easily able to understand Selenium as well, right? So that is why I am focusing on understanding the oops concepts again and again. So let's just start with it. Let me just create a new Visual Studio project. So we'll just open the Visual Studio. Okay, and then let's create a new project. We'll add a console application, say day 2. Okay, so hold on. Fine. So the project has been added, right? A simple console application project. Now what I'll do is, like say suppose I have a new class with me. I'll add a new class, say a class named friend. Okay, we'll just make it as public. Now say I have two properties of the class, the name of the friend, right? Let me just declare it as public, the name of the friend, and say it is your public int phone number. Okay, I have two properties, the name and the phone number of the friend. Alright, declared in my friend class. Now what I'll do is, say suppose I have another class with me, program.cs class file, which contains the function main inside it, the main entry point of the execution of the program. Alright, now what I want to do is, say I want to access the two properties, the name and the phone number, from this another class called program. So I will have to first of all create the object of my friend class, right? So how do you create the object of the friend class? If you say new followed by the name of the class, new friend, this creates the object of your friend class. Similarly, I can create another object, new friend, as well as another object, new friend. You can create as many number of objects of the friend class. So what then happens inside the memory is, inside the memory now we will have three objects of the friend class, right? We will have three objects of the friend class, and inside all the objects, the two properties, the name and the phone number, will be there. All the objects, all the three objects will have the property of name and the phone number inside it. Alright, so these are your three objects. Now, as I told you, this is how you create the object of the friend class, that is a new keyword followed by the name of the class. I can even say friend f1 is equal to new friend. Now this also creates the object of the friend class, right? The object is created like this, but then you are saying friend f1. Now f1 is not the object. We will not say, now people generally says that f1 is called the object of the friend class. No, there is a difference between object and object reference. Object and object reference. Now this f1 is the reference of the object. F1 is the object reference. It is not the object. This is the object of the friend class, new friend. Alright, now what is actually happening is, when we say friend f1 is equal to new friend, so then you have one object of the friend class inside the memory, right, which has the two properties, name and the phone number, right? So when you say friend f1 is equal to new friend, friend f1 is equal to new friend, then f1 is pointing towards the object of the first f1 is pointing towards the object of the friend class, which has the two properties, the name and the phone number, right? So this is just the reference which is pointing towards the object of the class. Similarly, I can even say friend f2 is equal to new friend. Here also I'm creating another object of my friend class whose reference is f2. Now f2 will be pointing towards another object of the friend class. Similarly, another friend f3 is equal to new friend, and so on. Same goes with other type of objects as well. Alright, okay. So then now if you want to access the two properties, the name and the phone number for the two friends, right? So suppose you say f1 dot name is equal to, say, Sam. Okay, and similarly say f2 dot name is equal to, say, John. Alright, so you declare the names of the two friends f1 and f2. Similarly, you even declare the phone number, phone number, okay, and the phone number of the second friend. Okay, and then if I want to print, then I'll simply say console.writeLine, print the name of the first friend, and similarly print the name of the second friend as well. Oh, sorry. Okay, and then now if I say run my code, okay, yes, why am I not able to see the output of my code? Yes, anyone?
Because we need to add the read line.
Yes, very good. Lastly, in the last class, I told you in order to read the output, we have to write console dot read key to read the output, right? So if I write console dot read key and then now if I run my code again, now you see that we were just trying to print the names of the two friends, right? F1 dot name and F2 dot name, and same goes with your output. It prints the name of the two friends Sam and John, right? So this is how you create the object of any class, all right, and then you access the properties of that very particular class. That is, we have the name and the phone number declared inside a class, and those two properties I'm trying to access from another class by creating the object of that class first and then calling the properties. Okay. Fine. Now, another concept, please make it a note very carefully, very important. If I say F1 is equal to F2, now what happens? And then now, if you print the names of the two friends again. Yes, anybody would like to make a guess over here? Now, what will be the output? If I say F1 is equal to F2 and then you print the names of the two friends, will the output remain same or there will be any difference in the output? Yes, anyone?
It will be changed,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, let's just see. Let me first make you understand and then we'll see the output. So right now what we have is we have two objects. Okay, F1 and F2, which has the two properties, name and the value is Sam. Similarly, I have the phone number of the first friend, any phone number. Similarly, the name is John and the phone number and any value for the phone number, right? And then what is happening is F1 is pointing towards the first object and F2 is pointing towards the second object. Okay, but then when you say F1 is equal to F2, now F1 is pointing towards the first object. When we say F1 is equal to F2, then F1 will stop pointing towards the object where it is pointing right now and will start pointing towards the object where F2 is pointing. So are you understanding? When I say F1 is equal to F2, so that means where F2 is pointing, F1 is also start pointing towards that object only. So then the output would be F1 is also pointing towards the second object whose name is John and F2 is John only, right? So then if you see the result, you see the result for the second statement is John and John. The name of the two friends will be John and John. Yes, are you understanding?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, Sam and Mai, is it clear? Okay. Yes, Sam, is it understood? Okay, so this is very important. F1 is equal to F2. You are making the two objects equal. Yes, Sam, can you hear me? Is it clear? Okay, Maya has already told. That was good. Okay, then. Okay. Now, say suppose I have another property of my friend class that would be say public string city. Okay. I say want to declare the city of my different friends. Okay. Now say suppose I know that Sam lives in the city say Bangalore, and John also lives in the same city Bangalore. Rather, all my friends are from the same city Bangalore. Then will I be declaring the city variable? Will I be declaring the city for all the friends differently? That is say suppose you say f1 dot city, f1 dot city would be equal to Bangalore. Similarly you say f2 dot city is equal to Bangalore. Similarly, if you have another friend, f3 dot city is equal to Bangalore. Don't you think this piece of code is becoming redundant? Declaring the city variable for all the friends again and again, and that to the same value. If you know that all your friends are from the same city, then we can simply declare it once in the very beginning of our code and then can use that variable, can use that value. Right. So in that case, what we will be doing is, like say suppose you have an object in which now you have three properties: name, phone number, and the city, whose value is Bangalore, and same the name and the phone number. Right. Now, so then what we will be doing is, like say suppose right now I have one object and another object as well, who's who also have the three properties, sorry, name, phone number, and the city. Right. So city value again remains the same over here as well, that is Bangalore. If you have another object, then that will also have the same city, Bangalore. Right. So now in order to remove this redundancy, what we will do is we will we will just remove this city variable from the class. We will remove this city variable from the class and will from every object, sorry, and will declare it inside the class, so that this city variable is accessible by all the other objects. And how you will be doing this? By declaring this city variable as static. By declaring it as static. Right. So how, like say suppose I have my friend class with me. Now if I declare this city variable as static, right, so then now if you see that the errors will start coming for this city variable. So then, as I just told you, city variable will now be a part of the class, it will not be a part of the object. F1 is your object, f2 is your object, and you are trying to access the city with the help of the object, which is not possible now. Why? But since we have declared the city variable as static, by declaring the class by declaring the variable as a static, that variable becomes the part of the class, right? So then now if I want to declare my city variable, I will have to declare it with the help of my class. Friend.city is equal to Bangalore. Okay, so now the city variable becomes the part of the class. So then I can simply say that anything which is common, I know that my city is common for all the friends, right? So the thing which is common, that part you can declare it as static. so that just initializing the same thing again and again for almost all the things, for almost all the objects. So in order to do that, we can declare the city variable as static, right? And that can be used for all your objects in that class. So have you all understood what is static and how do you access these static properties? Static properties has to be accessed with the class name, not the object. The normal variables, we are accessing it with the help of the object, right? You see the name and the phone number. But city, since we have declared it as static, it has to be accessed with the help of the class. Friend dot city is Bangalore. Okay, and then now if you access the city, if you print the city, it prints Bangalore. Yes, is it understood, everyone?
Yep. So object doesn't pick static variables, right?
Yeah, it doesn't pick. So static, as I told you, it becomes the part of the class. As soon as you declared the variable as static, it becomes the part of the class. It is not the part of any individual object. I just showed you with the help of the diagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then now city variable will be part of the class. So then if it is a part of the class, it will have to be accessed with the class name, not the object name. Alright, same goes with your functions as well, static functions. Say suppose I declare a function, say public static void print city. Okay, and inside which you will be say printing the city. Okay, so then one more thing, static functions can only access the static properties. Sorry, if I try to access the name, then I cannot simply access the name property inside my static print city function. Now why? What this error says, it says that an object reference is required for the non-static field method or property named name, friend dot name. Since name is a non-static variable and you are trying to access it in the static function, this is not possible. Okay, so fine. So that is why like a static function can access only the static properties. Fine. So then now if I was trying to call the print city function, right? And print city again, it is a static function, so it has to be called with the help of the class only friend dot print city. Okay, so it cannot be called with the object. If you say f1 dot print city, no, you cannot do so. You will have to do it with the help of the class. Yes, Ashmesh, any doubt? All right. Yes, anyone, any doubt over here?
So in static function,
Mm-hmm.
within that function we can use other variable, right?
Yeah, you can use another variables. No, like over here you see this print city is a static function and inside a static function you can access only the static properties. But a non-static function can access all the non-static as well as the static properties. But a static can access only the static part.
Yeah, within a static function, we can
Mhm.
use normal variables, but outside the static function, we can only access the static properties, right?
I didn't get you actually. Like over here you see city is a static variable and this
Right,
function is a static, right?
right.
So a static function is able to access the static variable city.
Outside the function, right? If I want to add
Declare a
something,
variable over here, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Say
yeah.
int x is equal
So
to
that
say 10. Hmm.
that will be a normal variable we can use, right?
Yes, yes, that can be used. That can be very easily used, right?
But outside we need to declare that as a static, right? If we want
Yes,
to choose.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
the variables declared inside the static function can be used inside the function very easily. But if it is outside, then we'll have to check the static and the non-static part.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yes, Mai and Sam, is it clear? Any doubts?
I don't have any questions right now.
Okay, that's good. All right, then static and the non-static part, fine. And the same thing goes with your Selenium as well. Like say suppose, say if I add another class for the Selenium. Okay, and then like say we'll just add a main function to it. Okay, now and similarly we'll also add the Selenium DLLs. Let me just add my Selenium DLLs. So as I told you, we will first be understanding this C sharp concepts, and the same things we'll be applying it to our Selenium, right? So today we discussed creating the class and the object. So let me just do the same thing for my Selenium as well. Okay, the WebDriver DLLs have been successfully added, right? So now if I want to say suppose uh, declare a Firefox browser. I want to initialize my Firefox browser or the Chrome browser or the IE browser. Then how will I be doing that? The same goes over here as well. We will have to first of all create the object of the Firefox driver class. In order to initialize the object, the Firefox browser, I will have to create the object of my Firefox driver class. So there is a class in Selenium, Firefox driver, to initialize your Firefox browser, right? So right now I'm getting the error below this. The type or namespace name Firefox driver could not be found. We will have to import the namespace for it. So how will you be importing it? You have this yellow bulb. You click on this down arrow and it says you need to import using openqa.selenium.firefox, right? So it has been successfully added, and then now the error has also been gone, right? And then now if I say build my solution. Okay, now if you build your solution, you get to see an error over here. It says that program has more than one entry point defined. Compile with main to specify the type that contains the entry point. Now what this error says, it says that this complete framework, this complete project has two entry point. And what is that entry point? The entry point is your main function. I told you main is the entry point of the execution, and since my project has two main points, that is why it is giving us the exception. All right, so in a console application project, at a time you can have only one entry point, you can have only one main function declared inside your project. So since right now we have two main functions, we cannot simply execute our program. All right, so either we will have to remove one main function, you can comment out the main function which you are not using, or else you right click your project, you go to the properties of your project, and then out here inside the startup object you just select the class which you want to execute. Okay, say I want to now execute my Selenium basics class. So I'll make this class as my startup class. I will save the changes. Okay, and then now if you build your solution again, now the build is succeeded. I cannot see any error. Okay, so I have my Firefox driver class initialized. Now if I say run my code, you will see that a blank Firefox browser will be initialized. You see that a blank Firefox browser has initialized, right? So in the Selenium, you just see that this Firefox driver is an inbuilt class in Selenium. We are just creating the object of the Firefox driver class. Similarly, say I want to initialize a Chrome browser. So same goes for the Chrome as well. We will have to first of all create the object of the Chrome driver class, right? And then for this as well, we have to import the class that is either you just click on this yellow bulb down arrow, or else we have a shortcut for it that is control plus dot. Okay, you just hover your mouse, keep your mouse over the class Chrome driver, and then you hit control plus dot. And then also this IntelliSense help would be coming. So you say using openqa.selenium.chrome. Okay, and then now if I say comment this Firefox driver, and then now if I say run my code, now you will see that a blank Chrome browser would be initializing. Right, you see a blank Chrome browser, and same goes with your IE browser as well. For the IE as well, we will have to create the object of the Internet Explorer drive, and same I'll import the class for it, control plus dot, using openqa.selenium.ie, and I run my code, and then now you see it initializes your IE browser. Right. So right now we are just looking into how to initialize the three different browsers, and then we will work upon all these browsers as well in the coming classes. Right. So this was just the introduction to Selenium only, the three classes: Firefox driver, Chrome driver, and the IE driver class.